People keep asking me, Nightwing, are you back? And yeah, I'm thinking I'm back. It's time to wake up, samurai. That's my wall you're leaning on. What's up, gamers? Kubz here. Welcome to the video. Thanks for being here. Before I get too ahead of myself, I wanted to just take a moment to share some gratitude. The channel has had a little over 1,000 views in the last month, and we've also gained like 10, maybe 12 new subscribers, which is just absolutely awesome. So really want to thank anyone for checking out any of the previous videos, for checking out this video. If you're new to the channel and you've just subscribed recently, thank you. If you're new to the channel and you like the content, hit that subscribe button. It's totally free. I'm going to hopefully keep on making videos that are fun and entertaining, and also pouring a little bit of positivity into this community. Part of what I wanted to talk about today was discourse and confirmation bias and echo chambers. There's a lot of content creators in this wonderful community, but sometimes they focus on the negative sides of things, or they complain about things continuously, and it just seems like there's a lot of that doesn't really, I don't know, in my opinion, it doesn't add much value to how awesome and incredible this game really is. I mean, to think that after a little over a year, there's still such an avid fan base, and there's so many people who are still playing this game, whether it's they're picking it up for the first time and they're doing their first playthrough, or they're, playing through the game with their friends, or getting into invasions for the first time. There's just so much going for Elden Ring, but sometimes we really focus on the negative things. And I understand at a certain point it is important to acknowledge maybe the shortcomings, but I think there's not enough appreciation for all of the things that Elden Ring has gotten right. The ability to make a build relatively quickly, and the general nature of the open world allows for such variety. You can make such awesome characters, and you can have such fun engagements and encounters with what we do have. So sometimes we get focused on the things that we don't have, and I get that. I understand it. So what does that have to do with anything? Well, sometimes if we hold an opinion ourselves, it's human nature to try to find others who share that same opinion. So if we think that invasions are bad because all we ever do is get ganked, then it's common for us to find a community or a content creator who's complaining about the fact that invasions are bad and they only ever get ganked. And that just reinforces the opinion that we had. And opinions, we all have them. They don't mean that they're right? It's just our opinion. It's how we feel about something. I'm not trying to say that anyone's opinion is wrong, but sometimes it helps if you go seek opinions that are differing from your own, and maybe try to understand where that opinion is coming from, or why they believe what they believe. In the background here, I've kind of put a little border around the edges, this kind of toxic green color, let everyone know when we're watching the toxic invasion that I want to kind of focus on throughout this time together. I joined into this invasion, and I seemingly can't do any damage to this host. It appears like they've somehow broken a mechanic, and so they're healing off of any sort of elemental damage that goes their way. This is a 10-minute long invasion. I've broken it up into sections, and we'll take a look at some fun invasions throughout the process, but for about 10 minutes at least, I can't do any elemental damage to that host. And unfortunately for me, many of my weapons are infused with some sort of elemental damage, whether it's fire or lightning or cold, what have you. And so I could have taken that invasion and said, oh, this is the problem with Elden Ring. This is the problem with this community, and Elden Ring invasions are bad, and here's why. Or I could have just taken that invasion and I could have, used my finger severer, and I could have left. I could have let him kill me far earlier in the invasion instead of trying to continue to damage the host, even though he's not really taking any damage. There's a number of ways that I could have responded to it. I chose to respond in the way that I did, and that's, again, I'm not saying that it's the right way to respond, or that any of those previously mentioned ways to respond are wrong. You're allowed to feel the way that you feel, and you're allowed to have the opinion that you have. I'm not trying to take that away from anyone. But I think a lot of people, if they had come into this invasion, they might have just said, oh, this is stupid, this is cheap, this host is cheating. I mean, he is very clearly cheating. But I kind of, I take that as a challenge. It's like, how long can I survive against this host who is cheating? That's what I make this invasion into, is like a challenge of survival, and I get to practice running away, retreating, and taking opportunities to attack. And there's going to be some blues that come into the mix, probably already have, and we can see if we can take out the blues, and we'll try to use our knowledge of the game and of the environment to see if there's anything that we can find that can help us, anything that can actually damage this guy. And again, if this was somebody else, they might have run into this encounter, and they might have said, you know what, this is just not for me, I'm gonna turn off my game, I'm not coming back to it, invasions in Elden Ring suck, everybody's just a cheater, or they're a ganker, or they're whatever it is. But I don't really necessarily feel like that's very productive, personally. So how can I maybe use this negative thing that I encountered to maybe share a positive message? I don't know. Maybe it's silly. Maybe there is no positive message. What I do know, though, is that complaining about it isn't going to change anything. It's not going to take back the fact that that host was cheating. It's not going to give me back the time that I spent trying to kill that host, even though it was pretty much a useless effort, But sometimes we can turn negative into a positive, and we can look at the things that we did learn along the way throughout the process. So, I don't know. I guess maybe part of the message is just have your own opinion, have your own perspective, have your own point of view. See, this host, he didn't want to fight me. He just would rather jump off the ledge and have an opportunity to summon back his friend. And I don't judge him for that. You play the game how you want to play the game. I do judge this guy for cheating. I mean, don't cheat in the game. That seems silly. And maybe those two perspectives or viewpoints are contradictory, saying play the game how you want to play the game, but also don't cheat. But hey, it is what it is. I'm just some guy sitting in his basement having a conversation with myself and putting it on the internet for all of you. Look how many times I broke that guy's guard, just like shield break after shield break. That was pretty fun. So I guess part of it is if you like something, then like something. Don't allow other people to change your opinion or your perspective just because they don't like something. You see a big popular streamer or content creator who's, they're your favorite streamer, they're your favorite YouTuber, but they just keep complaining about the game that you really love. It's like, well, then maybe tune out for a little bit and maybe find a different place that shares similar opinions that you do. Don't let the fact that they don't like the game right now, or the invasions aren't perfectly the way that they think that they should be, don't let that deter you from enjoying something. Because there's still a lot of fun to be had here in Elden Ring. I've gone back and I've played Dark Souls 3 recently, and like for the first time have gotten into invading in Dark Souls 3. I'm thinking I might make a video kind of sharing some of that experience. I don't know. I have some footage, but I don't know if I'm going to make the video or not. So if you'd like to see a Dark Souls 3 video and you're here right now, leave a comment and say, hey, we'd like to see you play some Dark Souls 3, and I'd be happy to put that out there for anyone watching. But I've really been enjoying it. I've had a lot of fun with it. And when I first started doing invasions in Dark Souls 3, I was like, this is, why did anybody enjoy this? It seems like anytime I get hit one time, I get hit a second time, and that seems dumb. Like, what kind of a silly mechanic is that? And it seems slower than I'm used to, because I really have gotten into invading in Elden Ring. So the mechanics and the timing is slower, and stamina is way more important than it is in Elden Ring, and that's for sure. I mean, it's like night and day difference. And so there's all these different things that I could have initially been like, oh, this just isn't for me. I'm not gonna invade in Dark Souls 3. I'll just do my playthrough and enjoy the experience and forget about invasions. But as I kind of like just accept things for what they are and try to appreciate what's there, I found myself really enjoying my time playing Dark Souls 3 and the experience as an invader. And I started to learn, this is, okay, things that I value as a gamer when it comes to these sorts of PvP experiences, things like proper spacing and proper management of your resources and your stamina, all things that I can appreciate. It's like, okay, I can learn to understand what's the flow like, how the latency affects your engagements as an invader, and knowing the timing of different attacks and finding opportunities to take advantage of somebody's mistake or misstep or whatever it might be. And then coming back and playing Elden Ring again, it's like, wow, there are so many things that Elden Ring got right. The fact that they added a compass to help you find the host and their party. Like, there are some times that I would invade in Dark Souls 3 and it took me ages just to figure out where they're hanging out, because there's no indicator letting me know that that's where I need to be. The simple fact that they added a map, I mean, obviously the map is kind of quite necessary for a game like Elden Ring, with the world being as large as it is, but having that as an option is like just even having something to reference. Sometimes in Dark Souls you might get lost if you don't really know an area very well, especially as an invader coming through an area that you're still learning yourself and trying to find the party. It's like that can be challenging in itself. The fact that you can craft different items, I think that's a really great addition. It saves you the hassle of having to farm runes in order to buy things like fire pots and daggers and arrows and things like that you can just roam around while you're playing and get the crafting materials for in Elden Ring. Getting rid of the weapon infusion system. Some people might not love that that's a change that they made, but I think that it's pretty great. Being able to decide, on the fly what you want your weapon to do damage-wise. If you have in Dark Souls 3, if you have a weapon that you infuse with, let's say, magic, so you use like a crystal gem to infuse your weapon with magic, and then you decide that you want to respec and make your character a faith build, well, now you still have this magic weapon, and you have to spend another resource to change it. You might even need two. I don't know for sure if you have to use the the stone that resets it and then use a new stone, or if you can just use just one stone to make that transition. But it's still a really kind of valuable and scarce resource within the game that you have to use in order to make that adjustment. And so Elden Ring offers like just such diverse build variety, such customization and versatility when it comes to creating your characters and respecking and making different characters. Another thing is the Ash of War system, you know, being able to customize your weapons in that sort of sense. I loved my playthrough of Dark Souls 3. I was using the glaive for most of it because I was playing with my character Unkindled Coral, and that was his weapon in Dark Souls 1 was the glaive. And so I was like, yeah, I'm going to stay true to who Coral is, and I'm going to use the glaive in Dark Souls 3. And I love the moveset on the glaive. But if I decided like, oh, you know, I would rather have this ability for my L2, then I have to use a different weapon entirely. Where in Elden Ring you can just swap it over. It's like, oh, I'm tired of using Black Flame Tornado on my glaive, so I'm going to use Spinning Slash, whatever it might be. I think that that's really convenient and really nice mechanic that they added. So there's a lot of good happening here in Elden Ring and within the community. You know, there are still really great creators, content creators, and people who are, you know, spreading positivity and encouraging others to enjoy the game. But I just felt like there was, maybe it's just my particular YouTube For You page or whatever, the recommendations that they were giving me, it just seemed like I was getting a lot of negativity, a lot of people complaining about things, and you know, just having a hard time enjoying the game or appreciating what's here. And so I wanted to kind of, you know, comment on that a little bit and just like remind people that it's okay to have an opinion that's differing from somebody else's. So I've been playing as Nightwing here throughout this video in the background, and Nightwing is far less about the build as it is about the style and the soul and the mentality of the character. So Nightwing initially started as my level 125 character, and I had used him for an Elden Ring charity event back last summer, and I was like, you know what, I haven't played as Nightwing in a while. Let me find a character that I can send on a little vacation and let Nightwing take over for a bit and fight some crime. So I've been using Nightwing on my level 25 Invader that I've made some videos about recently. So it's a level 25 plus 3 weapons, and just change the style, change the mindset, and Nightwing's always with me. He's always me. We are one and the same. Just because he goes on a little hiatus doesn't mean that he doesn't exist anymore. And I really love that. I love that Elden Ring is giving me the opportunity to have that experience with this character. So I just kind of wanted to make a video appreciating the game that we do have. I understand that it's not perfect, and I understand that there are some things that some players, especially some veteran players who have, you know, been with this franchise for some time, that there are some things that they, you know, wish would be changed or would be different. But at the same time, I think that it's important for us to just like let's shed some light on the positive and enjoy what we do have, because I still think it's a pretty great game. So yeah, the toxic invasion that's been going on in the background, I decided, you know what, if nothing else, maybe this dragon can help me defeat this cheater. And you know, who knows? Maybe it was a good idea, maybe it wasn't. I noticed there that he didn't take any damage from the dragon's fire breath, so probably wasn't the best idea, but it's the idea that I went with, and I'm going to stand behind it. Took him a little over 10 minutes to beat me as the invader. He tried all kinds of cheesy tactics. Yeah, he won. But did he really? I don't know. That's up to you to decide. I have been and always will be Kubes. Peace and love, gamers.